loud.
Hello and welcome to That's Just Prime, and today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Prime First Edition Optimus Prime, and I love this toy. This guy was originally released in December of 2011 and originally retailed for approximately $20. Here in truck mode, Prime is approximately 6.5 inches long and about 3 inches tall right here at the top of the cab. Now this guy was part of the first edition figures of Transformers Prime, and that was a set of figures that came out in a somewhat limited amount. So these guys quickly became very difficult to find. The Voyager wave was Optimus Prime here, and his wave mate was Bulkhead, and those two guys quickly became very difficult to find. I want to point something out with this particular figure, and this is just on this figure alone. This figure does suffer from a few QC issues. The first one, as you can probably see here, the grill is not clipping together. And the reason for that is that there are 4 clips right there. You can see there are supposed to be 4 clips, 2 on the left side grill here and 2 on the right side grill. Well, the one for the right side grill is broken off, and that came like that out of the package. So unfortunately, that's just something that I've had to live with. And again, because the figure was so limited, that was just something that I was going to have to live with. And unfortunately, what happens there is that it causes the grill not to shut all the way. So that's unfortunate. The other issue that I'm suffering from is right up here at the top here of the wind vane. You're probably seeing a gap right there, and this doesn't clip all the way. You can see there's a little tab right there on each side, on the top of the window, right above the window. You can see a little tab there. You can see another tab on this side there. And this is supposed to clip on, but it doesn't really stay on. Now, as far as I've been able to see, that is just particular to this figure alone. Now, why do I bring that up? Why do I bring up the limited release and then I bring up the QC issues? Well, because there was, again, this was a very limited release. These guys became very, very rare, very, very quickly. And I think it was about a year later, if I remember correctly, I started to see these guys hit stores again. And I was able to find another copy of this figure in the store, brand new, picked it up, and it had all the QC issues were fixed. Obviously, the little clip thing there, that's pretty much just single to my figure. So that figure, the grill clips on just like that, and it stays like that, and then the roof clips on and it stays much better. So you probably ask yourself, why am I just not showing off that figure instead of this one? Well, a couple of reasons. A, I did do a little bit of custom painting to this one. I did paint the wheels silver, because this guy originally comes with black wheels, which I'm not very particularly fond of on Optimus Prime figures. I like to see my wheels painted silver. But the biggest reason is because for whatever reason, and this is really a mystery to me, I don't know, I can't tell you the answer to this, but on the second release of these figures, this whole panel is unpainted. So you get this nice looking, I mean, this is a very nice looking truck. I mean, you got the red going into the blue and all of that, but then when you look at the second release, this panel here by the window and going behind the window here, this whole L-shaped panels here are just this flat gray, same color as the grill is. If you notice, the grill is like this unpainted gray. That's what color these are on both sides, and it looks terrible. So I figured I'd just go with the one that's painted properly, and just point out the QC issues, rather than go with the one that looks like it's unpainted or unfinished. And I really don't know why that is, but I don't know why I don't know why the parts were unpainted. I really don't know, but. If you're out there looking for, and if this is the kind of thing that's important to you, and you're looking for a first edition, like a true first edition versus the second release first edition, which supposedly had more QC issues, well, then that's a telltale sign on Prime. You look at this panel here on truck mode. If it's red, it was first release. If it's unpainted gray, it was second release. And again, the second release of these figures were supposed to have more QC issues than the first release have, but in that department, at least for me in my case, my second release issue figure is actually in better QC issue shape than this one is. So I'm rambling. Let's move on. This guy did come with a couple of weapons. This guy came with this sword right here. This is when we get in the robot mode, you get to see it better. It's a blade, and it's meant to look like it's coming out of his arm, and it does a really good job of that. by use of the peg here in the cover, so when you plug it into the arm, it actually covers up the hand, and it does do a pretty good job of looking like it's coming out of the arm. So it does come with that, and then it also comes with this rifle. And again, same thing here. It makes use of the peg with the hidden panel there, so when you put it onto the arm, once again, it hides the hand, and it makes it look like it's coming out of the arm. It's pretty cool. Now, as far as storage weapon goes, there's really nowhere to store the weapons. In vehicle mode, you are provided with these 2 peg holes here on each side. So, once again, not a fan, but if this is the kind of thing that does not bother you, you can go ahead and use these pegs to store away your weapons. Me personally, I'm not a fan of weapons showing in vehicle mode, especially not when they're being so obviously carried like that. But the option is there if you want to use it. Now, I think this looks a little better. It's still not. It's still not a fix, but it's a little better. You can actually. You got to be a little careful because it does get a little tight. But this peg will actually go under the 5th wheel hitch, and you can mount that there. Make sure that's straight, and that doesn't look as bad as the 2 weapons, one on each side there. But me personally, I prefer that right there. No weapons on a truck, no visible weapons on vehicles. That's my preferred method there. I prefer to just leave the weapons to the side. So, I think we've rambled off enough on the truck mode. Why don't we get into transformation? Transformation is pretty cool on this guy, and they did some really interesting things here. First, we're going to start off with, I haven't played with this guy in a while, so I may go out of order here. But we'll get there. The important thing is that we get there. I'm going to start right here at the top of the wind vane, and I'm just going to pull this whole thing up. And you're going to notice at the back of the truck here, this whole thing is going to pull out, just like that. Back of the truck is going to become the leg, so let's separate that. Go ahead and pick up the hitch, 5th wheel hitch right there. You can lift that up. And let me see if we can get this in frame here. That hitch is actually, if you can see there, is a little clip. It actually clips into that side of the back of the truck there to actually does a good job of keeping these together. So you want to go ahead and pull that up, and that's going to allow you to separate the back of the truck and what will become the legs. Go ahead and take the hitch at this point and flip it all the way down, and that's going to store right there. Cool note, they went ahead and molded the hitch on this side as well. So when you have them in robot mode, you've got this shape on both legs. I think that's really, really neat. So go ahead and bring these blue panels. You're going to see that they're on a hinge there, right here, and right here. So go ahead and straighten that out, bring it all the way down. And these guys are going to clip right here on the back of the truck. Do that for both sides. And then what was the wind vane? The wind vane. What was the wind vane? This is going to open up, and you'll see that there's the toe, and the red part is going to become the heel. So go ahead and open those up all the way, and your feet are done. And that is really, really neat. I think that is a really inventive way of making the feet for the robot and actually making use of part of the cab here and getting rid of some of what possibly could have been kibble along the way. So I think that is really cool. I'm going to adjust the camera. We're going to get a little tall here. All right, so next thing we're going to do, let's see, where do we want to go? Okay, let's go here, and we're going to take these panels right here on the bottom, pop these off. These are on 2 hinges, 1 hinge here, 1 hinge there. Go ahead and bring these up. Just pop these out and get them up. At this point, let's go ahead and take the head. The head's sitting right here inside the cab. Go ahead and pop that up and bring it all the way out. And another quick note, they did so many cool things with this figure. If you can see inside of the cab there, you'll be able to see that. They actually molded in seats. They molded in a steering wheel. They molded in an actual panel. It looks like a radio panel. There's some little nice. It's tiny. It is probably not coming out on camera, but because it's difficult to see. But there is right in there. There's a little panel with knobs. Looks like it could be a radio. Right over here, there's a little steering wheel. These 2 panels here look like they could be seats. So they actually went through the trouble of molding in an interior for the truck, and that is just so cool. So I wanted to show you that. Go ahead and take the legs here and bring them down. We'll get those out of the way. And then these panels that we opened up here to reveal the head, we can go ahead and close these and bring the panels that have the exhaust and just kind of keep them up here for now. There's something that we're going to wedge in between here, but for the time being, let's just keep them there and out of the way. Okay, let's see. Where do we want to go next? Okay, we'll take the grill here. We're going to unplug the grill from the front of the truck, And you're going to take the wheel wells here on both sides. Just take the wheel well, and this whole thing is going to flip up. These guys, the grill, the wheel well, is all connected to this panel here on the step, which goes to this hinge here. So this whole thing is going to hinge up just like that on both sides. You're going to see that the grill just comes off in the front of the truck. Go ahead and bring those all the way up, and when you do, then this other hinge here is going to allow you to bring the wheel well and grill back and around behind the shoulders of the figure. So we'll do that on both sides. Get that in there, and now you can bring these panels that have the exhaust pipes. Now you can bring these up, and those are going to sit right there. All right, we're almost there, guys. So do I need to adjust the camera again? No, I think we're okay. Now these are going to be the arms. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the hood, inside hood here for the truck, and we're going to unpeg that. These guys are pegged in with these two tabs. I'm going to pull the whole thing up, straight up like that. And you'll notice that it hinged over here. Now, these guys had two tabs here, and those are pegged in the two slots on the torso there and there. So go ahead and pull that front hood all the way forward. Go ahead and separate that as well. These are going to separate right there. And that's going to allow us to take this middle panel here. These are going to open up. Untap these. These are going to be the shoulders. These red pieces down here are going to be the shoulders. So we'll go ahead and untap those. Bring those down. And now you can open this up. And as you open it up, you're also going to want to bring this piece and rotate it up. So it's kind of two things at the same time you're doing here. So rotate that up while opening that gray piece. And you'll notice that's going to create his windows. On the back side of the shoulders, here and here are two pegs. Those two pegs are going to plug into the front wheels right here. So go ahead and peg those in. Let me see if we can get that peg on camera there. And the other one, let's get the arm out of the way. Right there. Okay. So as you can probably tell, these are going to be the arms. So go ahead and bring these down. Now go ahead and straighten these guys out. And what you're going to want to do here is there's a hinge on the side here. So go ahead and bring this out to the side. Rotate the hood panel on that hinge there. Rotate that down. Straighten out the fist. And then let's straighten out the arm. And then last thing we're going to do here is we're going to bring this hinge on the inside here. We're going to bring this up. And then on this hinge there, we're going to bring this panel in. And you're going to notice that there's a peg here. And that peg is going to go into this slot right there. And that's going to hold the arm in place. And that actually makes for a very nice arm. So let's show that off again on this side, because it does there are so many swivels and hinges into these arms that really make for a really cool transformation, but it can be a little confusing. So I'm going to bring the panel up on this hinge, and then there's a hinge there and here. So go ahead and get the fist out of the way, bring this panel up and over, and then using the top hinge, we're going to peg this slot into that, or this peg into the tab rather, into that slot there. That's going to form the arm. And then the last thing we're going to do, go ahead and rotate him at the waist. Brings the waist forward. And there is first edition Optimus Prime in robot mode. And how cool does this guy look? This guy is such an excellent design for Optimus Prime. I really do love the design for Optimus Prime. This guy looks like a superhero. You look at this guy and you can see he's got the small waist, he's got the wide chest, he's got that V shape to him. He stands about 7 heads tall. If you take his head, he's about 7 heads tall, something like that, which is typically the height that they tell you to draw. When you draw superheroes for comic books and stuff like that, you want to draw your characters about 6 to 7 heads tall. And that's what this guy looks like. So this guy looks like a superhero. He looks like just Gladiator Prime. I can't gush enough over this figure. I just absolutely love this design. Here in robot mode, Prime stands approximately 7.5 inches tall. As far as articulation goes, his head is on a ball joint, so you got a little bit of well, let's pop the head off and look at the ball joint, shall we? There's the ball joint. So as you saw just now, you can look up and down a little bit. You have a little bit of up and down, but if you try to look back or try to lean back and look up too far, you're going to pop the head off. But you got a nice side to side as well. Shoulders, you can go all the way around on the shoulders. You can go in and out as well. The actual shoulder panel here is articulated, so you can bring these guys up, and you can actually bring the arm all the way up. So that's nice. You've got a rotation on the bicep right above the elbow. Elbow bends to a 90 all the way to the front, so that's nice. And he does have wrist articulation. So excellent articulation in the arms for this guy. Let's pop that back in. I just popped the shoulder out of place. So, as you saw, due to transformation, he does have waist rotation. Now, you want to keep that limited because when you do rotate the waist, he is going to get, his entire torso is going to come unaligned. So, maybe just a little bit for some kind of a dynamic pose, but you're not going to want to go far with that. You've got a nice, what is that? That is a universal joint at the hip. So, you've got a swivel in and out, and then you've also got a swivel forward and backwards, which allows you to go all over the place with this guy. You've got a rotation right above the knee. At the knee, you've got a good 90 all the way back, so this guy can make some good soccer kicks and kick your face off. And you've got a hinged, it's kind of like an angled hinge at the ankle there. So it's pretty cool because it does allow you to go forward and backwards, and it does allow you to go side to side. So you can give him some A stances, and his feet are still going to be properly planted on the floor, on the ground there. So, again, excellent figure, excellent design, excellent articulation. One thing, if I am going to nitpick on anything, it's going to be that these panels, even though they sit up and they look really nice, they don't exactly clip onto anything. And you've probably noticed that more than once already on this video. I keep having to come back here and straighten these panels up because as I'm playing with it, these panels will tend to do that. So if I had to change anything on this figure, it probably would be give him a clip for those panels. It's really the only gripe I can find on this figure. It's such a well-designed figure. And I really do enjoy it so much. It's difficult to find anything to complain about with this guy. Just look at him. He is heroic looking. Let's give him his weapons. And like I mentioned, the weapons do the hideaway thing with the hands, which is pretty cool. Because in the show, he didn't actually carry weapons. His arms transformed into the weapons. So you can plug his rifle in either hand. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to plug it into this arm here. And again, you can leave it right there, and it looks like he's holding a weapon. Or you can go ahead and slide it all the way down, just like that, and just slide the fist all the way in. So what happens now is that when he is holding his rifle, let's see if we can give him a good pose here. It actually looks like it's coming out of his arm, and that's really cool. It does look like it did much like it did on the show, where the hand, or the whole front of the arm there would transform. It would look like he had a rifle coming out of it, where his hand should be. So that's pretty cool. They did a pretty good job with that. And then same thing with the sword or the blade or the whatever you want to call this. Now this guy, the rifle here, this is hard plastic, much like the rest of the figure is. But the sword here, this is rubber all the way around. And that's understandable. You've got a little blade looking weapon. You're going to want to make this soft so that the kids don't poke themselves or anything like that. However, they did that all the way across the board with this weapon. So the handle and the cover and everything else, this is also all soft rubber. So, it gets a little tricky when you're trying to put it into his hand. You do have to fiddle with it a little bit and kind of wrestle it in. But once you get it in, once again, very cool. Now you've got a blade coming out of his arm. Check that out. This guy is ready to shoot and or slice your face off. And that's not what I needed to do with my phone. That is what I needed to do with my phone. So that's pretty cool. And again, if you see the blade weapon there, it looks like it's coming right out of his arm. And that is awesome. I really enjoy that. Now, let's do one more minor gripe. And again, minor gripe. Is it just me, or does it look like the blade is pointing straight up on that weapon? Does it look like maybe it should be... Let's rotate him at the wrist there. And I popped his wrist off because, it's video, and if it's going to go wrong, it's going to happen on camera so you guys can see. Now, is it just me, or does it look like perhaps that's the way the blade should look? I think that's the way it should be. I think they might have possibly molded the blade the wrong way, but it doesn't matter. It does look pretty cool. It would have been nice if the blade was pointing down, and two, if they would have given us, and this might possibly be asking a lot, but if they would have given us two of one or both of these weapons, because typically when he had on the show, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I watched the first couple seasons of Prime, but when he did the rifle, he only had the one rifle, but when he did blades, he had a blade on each arm, if I remember correctly. So it would have been cool to have two of these. And again, pointed the other way, so the blade's pointing down. And then he could have had the dual swords coming out of his arms. But anyway, I think it's even with that, again, those are just minor gripes. The level on detail on this guy is amazing. The weapons work really well. The articulation is great. The design is gorgeous. The transformation is almost near perfect. You have little to no kibble on this guy. This is such an amazing figure. It really is. And when we get to it, the figure that followed up this figure here, the figure that came out after, talking about Optimus Prime's here, the next Voyager Optimus Prime that came out after this guy was actually a good figure as well, but it was not very well received because this figure did such an amazing job at everything that it did that everybody held the next figure up kind of to a higher standard. And it got a lot of criticism. But we'll get to that when we get to that figure. That's a little bit of a preview. For now, I think that about covers Transformers Prime First Edition Optimus Prime. Please leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and share with your friends if you like what you see, and I'll talk to you next time on That's Just Prime.